This episode, we're taking a look at the history of another of the classic Decepticon jets. These are the basics on the thick-skulled hardcase who literally meets any challenge head-on, RAMJET. The original RAMJET toy was released in 1985, the second year of the Transformers toy line. The figure was a white recolor of the F-15 Eagle jet fighter that had been released in 1984 in various different colours as the Decepticons Starscream, Thundercracker and Skywarp, retooled with new wings and weapons. The toy was designed with the intent that the jet mode nose cone be folded down behind the robot's head. But the character designs created for the Transformers cartoon and comic of Ramjet and his fellow 1985 jets Thrust and Dirge were based on a sample of the toy that, either accidentally or on purpose, left the nose cone up, giving them distinctive conical heads. It's become a standard feature in modern depictions of the characters, and has led to fans nicknaming the trio the Coneheads. A profile for Ramjet was written by Marvel Comics writer Bob Budiansky, which characterized him as a flying terror who would attack anything that entered his airspace, just for the fun of it. His jet mode was equipped with an extremely tough, impact-resistant nose cone, and his signature technique was to crash head-first into his targets, smashing them out of the sky, whether they were Autobots or unsuspecting human aircraft. Ramjet joined the cast of the Transformers cartoon midway through its second season, though like most of that year's new characters, no explanation was given for where he came from. He usually worked with his fellow Coneheads Thrust and Dirge, but he also had a couple of adventures apart from them, most significantly one in which he and a small group of other Transformers were sent back in time to medieval England. There, Ramjet pitted his nose cone against the Autobot tank, Warpath, in a jousting match, and came out the loser. Ramjet's toy remained on sale in 1986, and so he continued to appear in both the Transformers the movie and the subsequent third season of the cartoon. A regular, reliable, but not particularly remarkable presence in the Decepticon ranks. In the Marvel comic book, meanwhile, Ramjet was introduced as one of the troops serving in the court of Lord Straxus, the Decepticon leader on Cybertron. He and the other Coneheads later came to Earth for a mission to steal hydroelectric energy from Hoover Dam, where they battled the Aerial Bots. Ramjet would make only a few more minor appearances in the comic before the discontinuation of his toy in 1987 saw him quietly dropped from the series. But he wasn't gone for good. In 1993, Ramjet's toy was re-released in the Generation 2 line, recolored with a new purple and teal colour scheme and equipped with new weapons and electronic lights and sounds. This earned him a few appearances in Marvel's Generation 2 comic, which ended with his destruction at the hands of the dark energy entity, the Swarm. That was the last that would be seen of Ramjet in the 90s. Towards the end of the decade, he, Thrust and Dirge were considered for an appearance in the series finale of the Beast Wars cartoon, in which their offline bodies would have been found aboard the crashed Decepticon spaceship, the Nemesis, on prehistoric Earth. A callback to the original cartoon to explain where they had come from in it, but the idea was dropped. However, as the Transformers franchise began to expand in the 21st century, Ramjet was quick to return. Today, the Decepticon jets, or Seekers as they're also known, are one of the brand's most iconic recurring elements, and when a new toy of one of them is produced, it's often recolored to create a new version of Ramjet. Thanks to this, he's continued to appear regularly in new series, showing up in most major iterations of the brand, though some versions of the character are more different than others. Case in point, the first new series to feature Ramjet was 2002's Transformers Armada. Armada Ramjet didn't share his design with the other Seekers in this series. Rather, he was one of the tiny robots known as Minicons. Ramjet was an exploitative coward, hiding behind the might of his huge partner, the giant Decepticon battleship Tidal Wave, with whom his toy came packaged. The pair were also available in new colour schemes in Armada's 2004 sequel series, Energon. But unfortunately, Ramjet wasn't included when Tidal Wave got a new toy in the Legacy line in 2024. Also in 2004, another new Ramjet was released in the Transformers Universe toy line, this one a recolor of Armada Skywarp. No character information was included with the toy, but the following year, Ramjet appeared in the Transformers Collectors Club comic, which depicted him as a twisted servant of the Dark God, Unicron, who travelled the multiverse acting as his master's herald, until he became lost in the void between dimensions, an exile that warped his body and mind. The comic followed Ramjet as he escaped this imprisonment and travelled into the world of the Transformers Cybertron cartoon, where he attempted to destroy the Transformers homeworld in Unicron's name, only to be defeated and blasted back outside of reality by the ancient Transformer, Vector Prime. Over a decade later, in 2016, the club produced a new toy of Universe Ramjet, a retool and recolor of the 2014 Generations Armada Starscream figure, which led to the character returning in a new comic story. Following on from his last appearance, Ramjet found himself trapped in another dimension. Seeking to escape this new universe by destroying it, he recruited the aid of the apocalyptically powerful Decepticon combiner Thunder Mayhem, but was foiled by an alliance of Autobots and Decepticons. A version of Ramjet from the world of the live-action movies was introduced in 2008, characterized as a crazy, violent Decepticon whose years of head-on collisions had left him a bit unbalanced. He didn't appear in the films themselves, but was featured in tie-in comics as one of the Decepticons who remained on Cybertron when Megatron's forces left the planet. An untrustworthy opportunist, he allied with the treacherous Dreadwing when he staged a coup to steal Decepticon leadership. But in the chaos that followed their uprising, Ramjet was killed by the Autobot Crosshairs. 2008 also saw the debut of a Transformers animated incarnation of Ramjet. In this series, the Seekers were clones of Starscream, created to be his personal army, each one embodying a different aspect of his personality. Ramjet was a pathological liar, utterly incapable of speaking the truth. Initially, he had exactly the same design as Starscream, but later in the series, he was given a cone-headed helmet by Decepticon conman Swindle to help him tell Ramjet apart from the other clones. Unfortunately, the only toys produced of animated Ramjet were limited-run store exclusives available only in Japan. In addition to these different incarnations, the original Ramjet also still appears regularly. Perhaps most significantly, he was the first of the Coneheads to receive an updated modern toy in the Classics line in 2007, and this figure would then serve as the basis for his appearance in his first true leading role later that year, a self-titled Spotlight comic book one-shot from IDW Publishing. In IDW's universe, Ramjet was an ambitious schemer, working on a complex, far-reaching plot to overthrow Megatron, enslave the Decepticons, and conquer the Earth. But really, he wasn't nearly as clever as he thought he was. It turned out Megatron was aware of his treachery all along, and shut it down just as Ramjet thought he was on the brink of victory, killing him and scattering his dismembered body parts across the Earth. Later stories would show how Ramjet's remains were recovered by human industrialist Garrison Blackrock, who reverse-engineered them to create his own armada of mindless Ramjet clones. After this run of reinventions, the 2010s saw Ramjet return to his classic role as an unremarkable Decepticon goon. Some minor but notable appearances by the character since then have included a recurring role among the Decepticon forces in 2018's Transformers Cyberverse, a small part in 2020's Transformers Earthrise as one of a crew of mercenaries under the command of Double Dealer, and most recently, in 2024, a big screen cameo in the animated movie Transformers 1, and a brutally short-lived showing in the new comic series from Skybound, in which he was shanked by the Autobot Blue Streak. It might have been a while since he last did anything truly memorable, but whenever the Seekers next take to the air, RAMJET is sure to be there, ploughing headlong into anything in their flight path. And those are the basics on RAMJET. Which incarnation of this headstrong henchgoon is your favourite? Butt heads over it in the comments. As always, if you've enjoyed this look at Transformers history and lore, subscribe for more, and either become a channel member or support the show on Patreon to get early access to new videos.